to Silicon Valley Life. In each episode, you'll get an insider's look at what makes Silicon Valley special, how people pursue ideas, deal with failure, and enjoy life. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, concordiaventures.com. Now, here are the hosts of Silicon Valley Life, Naeem, Zafar, and Meena Meyyappan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's another episode of Silicon Valley Life. I'm here with my co-host, Meena. Meena, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning, good evening, and some people it's probably afternoon. I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to this podcast session with you, Naeem.
Yeah, people keep asking about, what is Silicon Valley Life? What's unique about Silicon Valley? What is it? Where is it? Which zip code is that? And I tell people it's not a physical place, it's a state of mind. It covers maybe, I don't know, a 50-mile radius. But this is where the term was coined in 71. Tell me, what are you going to say?
I was just like, so I was laughing, and I want to interrupt you and say, where does the name Silicon Valley come from? Let's talk about
it. Exactly. It was used by a journalist in 1971 in an article, and it stuck. Because maybe you already know, maybe you can talk about it a little bit. Transistor radio, or transistor, was invented in 1947 in Bell Labs. And three people who got the Nobel Prize eventually in 1955, 56, they got the Nobel Prize. So Shockley, one of the three, came to Silicon Valley in Palo Alto and set up a company, Shockley Semiconductor, to start making some electronics. And then a bunch of interesting things happened. Like he was a great inventor, but a terrible manager. So all of his senior people, it's called Traitorous Eight, they all quit in the same day.
Oh my.
Yeah. And then they started a company like Fairchild Semiconductor. And out of Fairchild then came out Intel in 1968. In 1970s, there were like 120 plus companies designing and fabricating chips. Not just that. Nobody knew how to make chips. It was a completely new process. We're figuring it out. So people used to all gather in a bar on Mountain View in Middlefield called the Wagon Wheel.
Wow. Okay.
And they used to, over time, exchange ideas, like probably secret stuff. Hey, Bob, did you get the transistor fabricated? No, it's not working. Did you try, you said the certain thickness of silicon oxide. Let's try that again. So they were exchanging, spilling ideas, collaborating, because nobody knew how this thing will work.
Right.
So that sense of collaboration is so ingrained in Silicon Valley that is not in other places.
I would say that's the unique culture. When you talked about a bar in Middlefield, I will tell you, every single startup that I know started over a social coffee or a tea. Nowadays, it's a cafe. People sit down and they chat about things that bother them. And even you take a small thing like YouTube, it came out of the fact that everybody just wanted to see everybody else's face when they were playing video games. A simple idea among a set of friends. So that is the Silicon Valley like essence of like discussing problems and solving them and taking the risk. A lot of people here love risk or addicted to it, I would say, addicted.
Well, see, risk in many countries, many cultures consider something negative. To us, risk, what people looks like we're taking risk taker, in fact, entrepreneurs are not like risk any more than anybody else. The main difference is entrepreneurs are comfortable living in the fog. You can throw me in Gobi Desert, and I know within 3 months, I'll be selling something to the locals.
I trust you would do that, really.
I have no idea what it is, but I'm confident I'll figure it out. So that mindset allows me to enter a situation, which I don't know how it will play out, but I'm pretty sure I'll figure it out.
Right.
So that to other people looks like a risk taker. To me, that's not risk taking.
Survival.
I'm going to avoid risk as much as the next guy. So this mindset,
That's the mindset. Now let's focus a little bit about how the Silicon Valley environment, fosters all this, right? Because that's one aspect of it is the people, but this environment fosters a lot because if you really look at it, look at the climate, look at, all the different, things that are accessible to you that is not, available in a lot of other places. Let's focus on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'd love to hear your comments too. But to me, I feel more at home here than I feel back where I grew up, because I'm a bit of a misfit of society, and I know you are, whether you admit it or not.
Don't
So
let the cat out of the bag, Naeem.
here we are normal. That because other people are like that. It's not uncommon in one team to see two guys from China, one guy from Taiwan, two Israelis, one Iranian, and three Pakistanis and four Indians working together. That's normal. Nobody even talks about it. And we celebrate our difference. That's somewhat unique to this place. I don't think this happens everywhere.
That is the part that I say is unique to this environment, particularly. It provides that, right? Because we're here to solve problems. So people come together and share the uniqueness, and it becomes available to other people. So if you really look at it, there are so many cultural festivals that go on in Silicon Valley. I've never seen anywhere else. You can go and see a Greek festival one day. The next day you can go for a Danish one, and you can go for Indian, Pakistani. I mean, it's very unique, and you get to experience what their lifestyle was from their countries in one place, right? Which is very rare from my perspective. And
Which
I
is
will
also
very,
reflected. It's also reflected in the food.
yes, correct. That's what I was
Yeah.
leading you to, because within my arm's distance, I don't even have to drive a lot. I can experience all kinds of foods very easily, and not very expensive either. I don't have to go
Yeah.
to a Michelin star all the time to get that experience.
Yeah. So I think this culture from so many countries melding together, working towards a common, I won't say common goal, but a common purpose.
Yes.
There's a purpose that we have a responsibility to do good things to the world. How do we create, how to simplify things, use of technology, improving society. We're kind of driven by that, and that attracts people, no matter which country come from, which culture they come from. They adopt the unique culture of Silicon Valley, and that makes this place very, very different and very interesting.
I will say one thing. As we are all people like that tend to focus a lot on impact and high stress jobs because of the way we work. The lifestyle here, we are constantly solving something, and our mind gets wrapped around it. This environment, I want to come back to the environment because it's a beautiful weather here. California
Yeah.
has beautiful weather. Anytime I can step outside and take fresh air. Like, I'm not worried about, I don't like the snow. I'm being honest, though, I would like to ski once in a while. I don't like the snow. I don't like cold weather. I don't perform very well. So I like this mild climate where I can be more an outdoors person and take my stress relief breaks. I do take a lot of walks. And a little bit of my lifestyle is I do a lot of calls when I'm walking. It
Yeah.
just helps me, kind of disconnect from the last, session I was in, take a little bit of a breather and be healthy at the same time. So the outdoors for me is very attractive in this valley. There's so much you can do. The trails are there, the hikings are there. I mean, the pictures that you can get in spring and fall are classic, like paintings that I would say with an average
Yeah,
iPhone.
you're absolutely right. Within 2 hours of driving, you could be on the beach, you could be in the ocean, you could be in a mountain, you could be hiking. There's so
Yes.
much availability and really the best weather. I think I think our temperature ranges probably from 40s to high 70s most of the time. And most of the time it's more like 60s and 70s really.
Right, right. I would
Yeah.
agree with that. And that's also, funnily enough, that's why we have more problem. We face more problems than average, set of people because it's so diverse. Environment is diverse, right? The climate's a little bit more diverse. So we get to experience real time what some of those challenges might be to solve them. I mean, even if you really look at climate change, a lot of them are California startups. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, yeah, because what's the
Because
reason?
because we experience climate change very heavily in here. Our winters, right? We didn't have rains for a very long time in Silicon Valley, and suddenly now we have rains. That's pretty much flooding. In 2 3 years. The whole scene has changed. So you have seen from drought to
Yeah.
overly high rain seasons, and what you're solving for in drought doesn't make sense when you're having the rain. So you come up with different ideas to address all these things.
By the way, what is your view on climate change since you brought up the topic? What is
I'm
the impact in the world in the next 10 to 20 years, and how do we plan to wrestle this down? Or can we wrestle it down?
So it is a very challenging question, right? It impacts everything. It impacts your lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And the food you eat, right? So it connects to everything, right? Our lifestyle, the food, and also like our entire ecosystem of when you step out and go outside and what it feels like to breathe, right? So when I look at it, and it's everything we do in our life impacts the climate. Even from a bottle of water we drink, plastic bottle of water impacts the climate, and we get rid of it, we're not able to recycle it, so it impacts the climate. So that's a very good topic, and a lot of people in the valley have like seen some of the dramatic changes in weather in California, I would say, because of just climate impact.
So to you, many people see as a gloom and doom scenario that we're going downhill, a slippery slope, the whole world is coming to an end. How do you see it?
I don't see it as the world coming to an end. I see it as we're going to an unhealthy balance. And that unhealthy balance has consequences on your health, and on the people and the next generations that are going to be born. That's the way I see it. And how do we deal with those consequences if we don't deal with the base of what climate change is? What is the root cause of climate change?
Okay, so there are two break it down to. One is can we slow down or possibly
Yeah.
reverse that climate change, which is a very bigger question, and a lot of technology needs to go in that direction. But I see another opportunity
Mhm.
because I'm optimistic by nature. So I see there will be different patterns for rain and droughts. This gives us an opportunity to grow crops more intelligently, which can be grown in deserts, or fruits and vegetables which could be harvested in the new climate. And this is the opportunity which we should be undertaking, that what's happening climate is inevitable. We haven't seen the climate of the earth has changed multiple times in the last 2 million years, or last for that matter 2 billion years. But to me it's just adaptation. We need to adopt different way of eating, different way of living, and different way of that's
So,
Silicon Valley life for you.
Silicon Valley life. I thought I turned off all my digital noise, but there's more and more I'm becoming aware of in my house.
Well, that's good to know. There's nothing we cannot conquer and fix easily. So yeah, so my feeling is that isn't this gives an opportunity to grow different wheat and different rice and maybe change the eating habits? Is it a doom and gloom or is just adaptation?
So question is, okay, maybe that's one part of the solution. What about the others? Because these are all micro connected to each other. So if you change the type of food we eat, the body needs to adapt, right?
Yeah.
There's a period where the body has to adapt. Today we consume so much of microplastics. Today the body consumes a hell of a lot of microplastics. That is scary. And we don't know the consequences to the health because that takes a full cycle to see the
I mean, all the water
consequences.
bottle we use water
Yeah.
from, that's the
Yeah.
microplastics.
Yes. And even
Nanoparticles.
the water that you're drinking has microplastics because it is being filtered from a mountain or some other source that has had plastics leached into it.
Yeah.
And so we are constantly taking in plastics because of the way we have, conserved food or, try to resell food and things like that. So the consequences of microplastics, no one understands today fully.
Yeah.
Right, and that's like a full human cycle. So as you're talking about the adaptation, the human is always behind because the environment has changed, but the human is behind. It takes time for the human to go through that cycle, and there's that in between phase that is very difficult. It provides a lot of challenges to people, and are we ready to face that? Right, I mean, that's the way I look at this.
So talking about food, any good restaurants you've been to lately?
Absolutely. I would like to talk about a little bakery. That's my favorite one. I like cafes, if you get to know me personally over this podcast. My favorite little one is Munresa bread that was spun off the Michelin star restaurant called Munresa. And they're available in downtown Los Gatos. And I think they have a chain now in I think Palo Alto in California, as well as in downtown Campbell. So you can see where I, kind of frequent a lot.
Which bread do you get? Baguette?
So I
Sourdough?
like the rye bread. That I
Rye
like
bread.
whole grains. So what about you, Naeem? Where have you been around talking about food?
But let me ask you one more question, because I know you're a bread maker. You make your
Yes.
own bread. What is that deal? I never understood this.
So let me talk about this. It comes back to food and the impact that we have caused in food. When you look at the wheat that today is available, most people talk about celiac disease, right? And it's because of how we have hybridized wheat over the years. Traditional wheat that you go back to does not cause celiac disease if consumed. So, with that in mind, right? I mean, I've been a big fan of eating more natural foods as you get to learn more and more about it. It's much more healthier for us. So, I'm a big fan of buying the grain from scratch, and I buy traditional wheat or whole grains like rye and things like that. We grind it. We have our own grain grinder. Silicon Valley provides amazing machinery, digital machinery. I can grind it to the coarseness that I like, and yes, go away from the chakki and atta if you know from India or Pakistan. We don't have to do that. This automatic machine does it for you, and I get the coarseness we need, and then we bake it on the day. We of course soak it, ferment it, and then bake it in a very ordinary oven out here. It's not that hard. It's just it takes time, but it takes time
Is it taste better than Mandresa?
for me. Yes.
I see. Yeah.
Once you get used to a particular taste, it's very hard to compare and contrast. Yes, Manresa's bread is definitely top of the line if you're busy and cannot make your own bread and get a perfect slice of bread from your house. So yes, I would say so.
So my food place I want to recommend today is a little Mexican family-run place in Mountain View
Hmm.
on Villa Street, 240 Villa Street, called La Fiesta. I've been going there for 20 plus years. It's run by like one brother and five sisters, Alejandro, Lucy, and Pablo.
Yeah.
And so it's a little family run place. They have a truck which brings fresh ingredients from Mexico once a week.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's really delicious. I see everybody finish the plate is wiped clean every time.
And
So
now I'm going to ask you a question. You like this Mexican food because it's very close to home food, spiciness. Am I correct? The spicy level?
now spicy level is very neutral because you can add spicy sauce on top of it, but it comes if you don't add any sauce, it's not spicy. It's just delicious. So so my favorite is the chili relleno with the rice and beans. It's like so good. But of course, I have to skip like eating the next two meals after having a plate of that because you have to finish it. You can't leave behind.
Makes absolute sense. And now we come back to a little bit about Silicon Valley life. We talked about food a little bit. Any events that you went to that pop up on your mind?
So I think the event which I'm working today towards is TICON. TI stand for the TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs, so TICON.org. You can check the website. So we do an annual conference which attracts about 3 to 5,000 people in person, and been doing it for 27 years. So it's in the first week of May, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's really is a fantastic agenda. It's a 3-day conference. There are dozens of sessions, 3 days of Jensen Huang, the founder CEO of NVIDIA, will be one of the keynote speaker, as well as the CEO of Palo Alto Network. But there'll be much richer agenda. So I'm doing a full day boot camp called Startup Boot Camp on May 1st, Wednesday, the May 1st, in which we're going to take all the entrepreneurs with a gleam in their eyes of raising money from investors. We're going to take them in a 1 day how to raise money in Silicon Valley.
Mhm.
So we start the day with sort of a workshop teaching them how to be investor ready. How do you tell the story in a way it will be heard? Then after lunch, they will sit down at a table with their mentors, 3 or 4 teams, and they'll pitch to them their 10-minute pitch, and we'll select some of the best on each table and do a second round of elimination. different mentors. You're still pitching, refining based on the feedback we got. So by 4:30 p.m., we have selected 4 best teams, and they'll present their 10-minute pitch to a panel of venture capitalists, and they will rank them and give them feedback. By 5:30, we'd have gone through the whole process. So that's Startup Bootcamp, part of TiCon. I'm working hard towards making it happen.
That is neat. That is so neat. So I will share what I have been doing, which is slightly different from what you've been doing. So I've been focusing on a nonprofit credit union, and I went to a couple of sessions where we talk about the economy, and like how how to deal with the changes of the interest rate. Either it's going to go up, down, and how do we handle the economic impacts of that. So it was been very interesting topic. Maybe for a next session, we should talk about a little bit of the Silicon Valley, the impact, the economy and its impact on it too, because that's what we've been discussing. And it was very eye-opening to meet so many experts from various different financial institutions share how they see the economy impacting credit unions, which are actually nonprofit banks in some ways because it's all member run. It's for the members.
So yeah, I found that always puzzling. So you're a techie person.
Yeah.
Why would a bank, or otherwise known as credit union, want you on their board? They must be paying you big bucks to attract you to be on the board. What's the deal here?
First of all, it's a nonprofit volunteer position, right? It is an opportunity for somebody who's in high tech to really look at how do you bridge a low tech environment, because it's very community focused, it's very personal focused. It's about coming into a location, taking care of people, right? The other side of AI, that's exactly where they are. And they were built on affinity groups. So credit unions focus on supporting an affinity group and their finances. So that's what they are about. So it's mostly about a volunteer position, but all the credit unions also would like to understand more about the digital financial age, and how people are moving, what are the trends, because they have new generations of people that are going to be different, right? And so having somebody like me on the board will help them bridge a little bit of both. They'll never get to a perfect highly digitalized environment in credit unions, because I don't think that is the goal that they're trying to achieve. But how do they move some of the products and services to these communities that they serve in a safe and slow manner, because they're never in a hurry. So it's the anti of a highly tech environment. It teaches me how to slow down, and it helps me contribute to something that I care most about, community.
So let me ask you this question, because in my mind,
right,
the role of bank is about to change dramatically. Let me tell you why I think that. Why do we need a bank? The fact is, we need a trusted third party. If you're buying something importing something from overseas, we need to make sure that those people get the money when the merchandise has been delivered. So it's a letter of credit, or people want to deposit the money someplace so they can access that, get a loan. Isn't this true that we are, with the Web3 and the blockchain infrastructure, this will change? Because the trust will be within the blockchain. We don't need a bank to transact, to borrow from. We can borrow from a group of people. Do you see any of that being discussed, or this is only in my mind?
It is totally being discussed, right? Credit unions discuss about it. But even in average, the adoption of this cryptocurrencies and the Web3 is still not in full application. So they discuss about it, they look at the trends. When they look at the smaller trends, actually they're focused on smaller things they can do safely, right? So I don't think they're fully on the journey as yet, but they're conceptually looking at where do we need to be still.
But I think, yes, credit unions are not known to be in the forefront of technology, of course, but banks are.
Yes.
Or am I wrong in that?
No, that's correct. That's correct. The banking industry, or even, I don't even know if banks are, it is digital payments, the forefront runners of all things that we want to change, right? Like you talked about, Bitcoin is all about, I don't need to have, I don't need to have physical cash in my hand. I can transact anywhere, any place. So I think, yes, digital payments, then comes banks, and then comes credit unions, because they move slower behind everybody.
No, I think you make a good point. If you think about Uber did not come from guys who were in the taxi industry.
Yes.
Airbnb was not started by somebody in the hotel industry. So next innovation in banking will probably come from somebody outside banking.
Yeah. I would think so. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a credit union because they look at things very differently, very different lens compared to tech.
Yeah, yeah. So the good. So you point is you are involved in addition to your high stress job. You're also involved with this nonprofit activity, which is beautiful. Which I think again shows you that we all have multiple purpose in life. It's not about
Yeah.
making money, changing society. We want to add value wherever we can. So that's why I also involved with several nonprofits, either helping them, guiding them, raising money, and whatnot. And that's what makes you and I have accumulated knowledge over the last few years. See if we can put it to some good use.
And that's what this podcast is all about. So we can talk a little bit and provide little insights and deeper in some cases.
Yeah.
So we appreciate the time that you spend with us. Keep your comments coming in because we can focus on those areas too and support you through our podcast because we're all about supporting based on our experiences and also learning from everybody on the show too.
Absolutely. Yeah. We look forward to your suggestion about kind of guests you'll talk about or even topics you want to talk about. But we are here. We can pull all kinds of people as part of our conversation. So we look forward to seeing you in the future episodes.
Thank you very much and see you all very soon.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been tuning into Silicon Valley Life with your hosts, Naeem Zafar and Meena Meyyappan. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, concordiaventures.com. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.